Hello there, boys and girls, and welcome to It's a Shaw Thing. I'm your host, Rob Shaw, and we are talking fantasy football, although I would like to talk about the Vandy Commodores after that big win against South Carolina, but instead we concentrate on the NFL. Last night it was the Giants over the Redskins. Brandon Jacobs, Plaxico Burress shining bright. For the Redskins, it looked like Jason Campbell took a step in the wrong direction. But now it's time for your fantasy tailgate to look ahead. Some of the games coming up, and we'll start off with Detroit going against Atlanta. Calvin Johnson returns to the ATL where he played his college ball for Georgia Tech. I expect big numbers for him from Game 1 and throughout the entire season. As far as the Falcons go, some questions as far as how many carries Churius Norwood will get, but Michael Turner and Roddy White, both good starts in this one. Cincinnati against Baltimore. I don't think Baltimore's defense is as good as it once was, which means start all of the Bengals, including Chris Perry. I think that guy's going to end up getting 20 carries and put up some pretty decent numbers. As far as the running game for Baltimore, some question marks there. Take a look at the injury report. Make sure Willis McGahee's starting if you do have him. Seattle against Buffalo, a couple of banged-up quarterbacks, but I do think Matt Hasselbeck uses his experience in this one, connects with Nate Burleson for a couple of points. That's a guy to certainly start. New York Jets against Miami. Jets, Brett Favre knows how to shine bright when the stage is lit. He'll do that this upcoming weekend, but also look for Thomas Jones to put up some pretty good numbers in the ground attack. As far as Miami, we'll find out exactly how many carries Ricky Williams gets compared to Ronnie Brown. Kansas City against New England. If you have Larry Johnson, consider starting him. Tony Gonzalez is always a must-start. As far as New England, don't worry about Brady. He'll be just fine. In fact, look for Jabbar Gaffney to have big numbers this season. He's a little bit of a sleeper. Tampa Bay against New Orleans. Ernest Graham's leading the attack for Tampa Bay, but they won't be able to keep up with that high-flying passing attack of the Saints. Drew Brees is a definite start, as is Marcus Colston and Reggie Bush. I do think another guy to watch for, Robert Mitchum. He could end up having a huge year after missing out on his rookie season. St. Louis against Philadelphia. They're going to hit the ground running, both guys, Steven Jackson and Brian Westbrook. As far as the passing attack, we'll see what Bolger has left in him. And also Donovan McNabb. He has a couple of wide receivers missing. Be careful to start Reggie Brown. Make sure he's healthy to play. Otherwise, Deshaun Jackson and Hank Baskett are your two best options there. Jacksonville against Tennessee. Best player in this one is Maurice Jones-Drew. It'll be interesting to see how many passes Vince Young connects with Algie Crumpler. That's a new addition there. And also look for Justin Gage to have a big game as well. Dallas against Cleveland. It's all about the health of the quarterback, Derek Anderson. If he's healthy, everyone should do just fine on that team. Otherwise, only Jamal Lewis is going to have a big performance. Over for the Cowboys, Marion Barber gets his feet wet as a starter. He should be interesting to watch. Tony Romo, Terrell Owens should be huge in this one as well. Carolina against San Diego. I think San Diego is going to be just fine, even though Antonio Gates will be limited, and I do expect some struggles from LaDainian Tomlinson. Remember, he struggled in the beginning of last year. He refuses to play in the preseason, which might be an issue. Chris Chambers, big game for him, and I expect Vincent Jackson to play a strong role as well. As far as Carolina, remember, no Steve Smith, so maybe start a DJ Hackett in this one. Arizona against San Francisco. This is the one that I expect to be a fantasy bonanza. Plenty of points to be seen here with Mike Martz now running the show in San Francisco. One of his old disciples, good old Kurt Warner, is going to be leading the way for the Cardinals. High passing attack for both teams. JT O'Sullivan, look forward to finding out what he's going to bring to the table. And then there's Chicago against Indy. This should be one-sided. Indianapolis will be just fine, but because of Peyton Manning's injuries, I expect them to be a little conservative on the play calling. Joseph Adai should rack up at least 120 yards on the ground. I expect almost 200 total yards for him in this game. Then there's Minnesota against Green Bay. A couple of quarterbacks who definitely aren't 100%. Aaron Rodgers, a little unknown. Tavares Jackson, banged up. So what to expect? Plenty of running. I expect to see Adrian Peterson lead the show in this one. Chester Taylor, if you have him in a deep league, 60 yards is very realistic. Ryan Grant should be all right, but watch out. That Minnesota defense is going to be very good this season. And finally, Denver against Oakland. Jay Cutler comes out, but he's missing Brandon Marshall just for one game. That's the good news. Tony Scheffler is going to be all right at tight end for him. As far as the running attack, a split backfield. So watch out. Let's pay attention, see if it's Andre Hole, Selvin Young. Once we do know that, we'll have a better idea of who to start for Week 2. For Oakland, a lot of question marks there. Is Jamarcus Russell ready for the gig? And how many carries will Darren McFadden get? Those are answers you're unfortunately going to have to wait at least 1 week into the season to find out. Well, my friends, that's your Fantasy Tailgate. I'm Rob Shaw from OpenSports.com.
For more great videos, check back every day on OpenSports.com.